Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice Simple Steps for Showing Up. My name is Brad Draper. I am your host. I am so grateful to be here. I'm so fired up. I want you to just rock in life. That's really what I want. I want you to just destroy all of your goals, crush your dreams, and just get after those things that you want most in life. That really comes down to asking, what do you want? But beyond that, we have this ceiling that we've made, that doesn't make sense, that we've made of glass. We can see right through it, but for some reason we can't get to the other side. I want you to break the glass. I want you to blow past whatever thing that is that's holding you back in every area that is holding you back. I want you to understand that you are worthy of all things. You can have everything in this world that you desire. You really can. And there is an easy and effortless way to get there. It's not usually how to get there, it's who will help you get there. That's referring to the book Who Not How, which is fantastic, by the way. And The Worthiness is also a book called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. That's the most recent book that I read, and it's phenomenal. I encourage you to read it. But what I really want you to do in life is to set these goals and achieve them, and then set new ones and achieve those, and set new ones and achieve those. This conversation that we're going to have today comes by way of a few weeks of buildup. It's been pretty cool to watch. My wife and I have been going to the gym on gym dates. I love gym dates. On Saturdays. Saturday, traditionally, for both of us, is deadlift day. It's hamstrings and glutes, building the booty. And the last little bit, it's been helping Michaela, my wife, get to her goals, her dreams, her aspirations. She wants a big, strong, well-shaped, well-manicured butt. And I want her to have that too. And so we started down the path of helping her with deadlifts and squats and other powerlifting movements. But we're focusing on deadlifts right now. 3 weeks ago, she decided she wanted to do rack pulls. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. And she put on 10-pound plates, making it a 65-pound bar. She did that for 5 or 10 reps, and then she put on a 25-pound plate. Then she put on a 35-pound plate, and then she was feeling frisky and put on a 45-pound plate, which to that point in time was probably the most she has ever pulled. She's been in the gym about 6 or 7 years at this point and has never really gotten past a certain weight ceiling or weight capacity. That has been going away pretty substantially after a conversation we had quite some time ago. You see, she would load 45-pound plate, just one of them on a leg press, and it's heavy, right? It's always going to be heavy. She was waiting for it to feel lighter before she made it heavier. And we had the conversation of it's always going to be heavy. It's never going to feel light. 40 pounds is heavy, 100 pounds is heavy, 200 pounds is heavy, 400 pounds is heavy. They're all heavy. It's just how much energy you're putting into the system. You're going to put in as much as is necessary. Welcome to laws of physics. That one is the retention of energy. So we put in as much as is necessary to move whatever we're trying to do. That's force. Or I should say that's work. Force times movement equals work. So we put on a 45 and a 10, and then we put on a 45 and a 25. If math does me right off the top of my head, that's 185 pounds. And she goes to pull it. And she tries, and I saw the bar start to move a little bit. But then it didn't move off the rack. I just saw it kind of move around slightly. And then she looked at me and said, I can't do it. Well, I know her back squat is 185 pounds. Therefore, I know she can rack pull, which is the upper half of a deadlift on a rack, for those that didn't look it up. I knew she could pull it because she's back squatted it many times over for multiple repetitions. And I taught her, I said, when it starts to get pretty heavy and you go to pull it, your body's not used to knowing how much energy to put into the bar. So you just kind of keep pulling. And as you keep pulling, the bar will start to move, and then it'll lift off the ground and it'll go up and you'll stand it up. So she got back into it, put her headphones in, got her mechanics set up, and started pulling and kept pulling. And lo and behold, the bar came off the rack and she stood it up. I was super excited for her and for that massive breakthrough, pulling 185 pounds and standing there, staring at herself in the mirror, so proud of herself, holding 40 pounds over body weight, which is super cool. Followed up the next week. We do goblet squats on a belt squat platform. So this is where the weight is below you and you're chained to it. It's underneath your feet. And I put a close grip handle. So you start from the top versus a rack pull. You start from the bottom, like a traditional deadlift. So you start from the top and pick up the weight and then go down and end at the top. So you start at the top, end at the top, kind of like a bench press, as opposed to a deadlift where you start at the bottom. So she starts with just the rack, 60 pounds, saying it's heavy. And we load on more and more weight, slowly, progressively moving forward, keeping the mechanics sure, keeping them sound. The ABCs, she knows what to do. The ABC being just do your mechanics as you've practiced them. Do the basics. She kept pulling, and we ended off with her doing a 1 rep max of 228-pound goblet squat. So cool. She was so excited. She jumped off the platform, kind of. She was kind of falling over in excitement for what she had just accomplished. She is now 80 pounds over body weight, a little over it, actually. 83 pounds over body weight, holding that in a close grip handle. Fast forward another week, this past Saturday, she wants to do rack pulls again. And we started off with a warm-up, just the bar, and then we put on 25s and then 45s. And then in my brain fart, because I just traditionally do just the bar, 45s, and I just add on 45s with each set. So I'm jumping 90 pounds per set. In my brain fart, in my stupor, I just put on another 45, so a 225-pound bar on the rack pull. And she looked at me and said, "Let's go. I can do this. I got this." I didn't think anything of it. I just smacked the mic. Hopefully that wasn't so loud. I didn't think anything of it. In fact, I was just, okay, yeah, this is the next set. And then as she's loading in, I recognize her hands are about 2 inches wider each than her traditional mechanical location. Her feet are different. Her back is different. Everything is different. And I'm trying to tell her, don't pull. You're not going to pull it because you're not pulling with your simple, basic mechanics. You're doing a completely new lift. Therefore, you're not going to be able to pull a new max. She didn't hear me. She had her headphones in too loud. And guess what? She didn't pull it. And she looked at me and said, "I can't pull it." I said, "Well, of course you can't pull it. You changed literally everything." This got me thinking. And I told her, I said, "Back up, change your state, come back in with proper positioning, proper mechanics, do the basic things you know how to do. You have done deadlifts and rack pulls thousands of times. So come back in properly, load in, load the weight, begin pulling, and the weight will move." She did that, and the weight moved. It took it a second to move. That was a 40-pound PR. Her pull 2 weeks ago was 185, and now she's doing 225. So cool. But this has really got me thinking a lot. This is all I've thought about since Saturday. And today, the day recording, it's Tuesday. I've been thinking of this for 3 or 4 days. How often do we see a new goal, get excited, pumped up, cheering ourselves on, turn on our best music, right? And we amp ourselves up for the goal, go to do it, yet there's a piece of us that is unsure or uncertain that we can actually hit it. Therefore, the mechanics change. We move our hands, we move our feet, we move our back. We change the structure in a form of self-sabotage to assure we are correct. That I don't know if I can do it. I don't think I can do it, but I'm going to give it my best effort. That egoic side of us will ensure we don't get it. And then we can finish and say, oh, I knew I couldn't do it. That was such a big goal. That was stupid of me to try that. How often have you done that? I know I have. I know I've been there plenty of times. But if we just show up in the way we know how to do it, with the proper mechanics, the same way, nothing's changed. The weight on the bar has changed, but the movement hasn't changed. I have a friend, he's my massage therapist. He was a former powerlifter, and he wanted to get into the next level, so he hired a higher end coach. Keep in mind, he'd been powerlifting for years, and he wanted to increase his overhead squat. His coach walked up and handed him a PVC pipe and said, you get to lift this. I don't care what you've lifted in the past. This is where you're starting from ground zero. We will recorrect your mechanics. He practiced with that PVC pipe for 6 weeks and was finally able to just throw up the weight with ease. It is amazing what happens when you do the same thing. You know how to do what you're trying to achieve. Simply do the basic mechanics. The weight on the bar or the weight of your goal may seem different, but the situation and the movement is entirely the same. Smash through the limiting belief. Just because the weight on the bar or the weight in your goal or the weight on your life or the weight in your job or your marriage or relationships or whatever it is seems heavy. You've been here 1,000 times. Race day should be no different than practice day. The only difference is there's more people around. The race itself, the one you against you, is the same. Nothing has changed. That is how you get past and blow past these glass ceilings of your own making. I want you to sit down, get quiet, and think about what you're trying to achieve. All the work you've gone and done to this point, that repetitious, continual practice to solidify the mechanics and then move forward, attacking those goals. And I'll end with this thought. The only thing that allows sound to be a thing is the silence. If there was no silence, there would be no sound. If it was all sound all the time, you would have destructive interference to sound. You wouldn't hear it. The only thing that allows sound to exist is silence. Find the beauty in your life in silence. Sit down, get silent, stop the chatter in your head. Stop thinking, stop the thought. Just create a void. And in that void, you find the beauty. In that void, you find the answers you're seeking. In that void, you find your ultimate self, your highest self. Beyond all these beliefs that you taught yourself or somebody taught you. They were taught to you. They were caught. Therefore, they can be untaught and relearned in something different. Something higher. There will never be a limitless ceiling. It's just going to be a new ceiling. And then you got to get past that one too. It's like getting past levels, playing Mario, just one level after another, hitting that flagpole at the end. But I love you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you continually listen to this episode, to this podcast. I'm in the 70s. Pretty sure this is 71 or 72 for episodes. That is wild. That is so cool. in between, I was asked yesterday, actually, how many episodes have you recorded? Well, between mine, the ones that never went live, and then my wife's and mine, I'm well into the over 100, which is super cool. And I'm so grateful to have the ability to do this and to transfer my thoughts to you, and in such transfer a little bit of me to you. So you can find me on socials, Mr. Brad Draper. Like this thing, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, I love you guys. Bye.